Hey, it is EDT 501. Welcome. I'm your instructor, Bill Sullick. Let's talk about the course, shall we? Yes, we shall. Fantastic. So, as we jump into it, make sure to click on the start here on that left sidebar. Walks you through what the course is about, how to use Google Drive. Click on Meet Your Instructor. That's me. Hi. So I'm Bill Selleck, adjunct faculty at Concordia University Irvine, also director of technology at Hillbrook School. We're an independent K-8 school in Los Gatos, San Jose, California-ish area. Well, definitely the California area, San Jose-ish. The ish was for San Jose, not California, because I'm in California. Anyway, I'm our tech director. We our one-to-one iPads have been since they were invented, so it's been about 10 years for that. And yeah, before I was here, I was teaching kindergarten, second grade, fourth and fifth grade music, so definitely elementary, like by heart. Also, K-8, do a lot of work with the middle school here, doing some really cool projects. And then my first job, straight out of college, was actually a high school youth minister. So if you are K-12, we can hang, we can talk. I don't know why I said we can hang. I don't know. This is going a little bit sideways, but that's okay. If you're on social media, on that About Your Instructor page, Meet Your Instructor, feel free to say hello. If you're on the Twitters, as my mom calls it, the YouTubes, feel free to click over and say hello. So that's a little bit about me. I'm really excited about 501. We're not supposed to have favorites, I think, just like with your kids. But I think this is my favorite course of all the ones I've taught. And I think at this point I've taught everything in this EdTech Masters program. I also got to help develop a lot of this course, so I'm a big fan of it. I think the easiest way to take a look at this course is actually just to look at what the assignments are, and then each week you're going to get a video and a little announcement, a message from me each week walking you through specifically what's going on. So basically each week you're going to have a discussion board, some readings, usually some videos, and then an activity. So as a reminder, discussion board due Thursday before midnight, and then two thoughtful replies, Sunday before midnight. Make sure you are citing your sources as you do the post. Definitely on that left sidebar, click on discussion board and look at that discussion board rubric, because that's how I grade you, and that's what's expected and required. So your assignments, there are 6 big ones. First one is social media starter kit. This is the first part of that. You're basically going to hop on, and I'm going to just add an S to it. My mom does it, and I think it's awesome. You're going to hop on the Twitters, and you are going to just basically get an account up and running. If you already have done so, just double check and make sure you're following all of what is required on the syllabus. Not on the syllabus, on the rubric. And that's about it. If this is all new to you, then hop on in. If you need to make it private for a variety of reasons, you're welcome to do that. If you're able to make that public, I encourage you to do so. I also recognize that some things are more complex, so just kind of loop me in with that. And that's it. It's basically just getting your account up and running, and it looks like an actual human is on it. For me, I will say Twitter in particular and just social media in general has transformed me as an educator. And at this point, most of my good friends, if not all of my good friends, are educators, and nearly all of them I have found on Twitter. That's how I got this job. I got just a message, hey, I like what you share on Twitter. I think you should be our next tech director. And I am 7 years later. So there's definitely a power there. It's complicated these days, for sure. So yeah, I'll just kind of leave it at that. Week 2, you're going to be doing a Venn diagram. You have 2 collaborative projects for your assignments. Pretty straightforward. You're going to use Google Drawing to create a Venn diagram, 3 circles, comparing and seeing the intersections of Wagner, Prensky, and Robinson. Yeah, that's a pretty straightforward one. I'll explain more in week 2 for that. You have a research paper, a shorter one looking at the elements of 21st century learning. And I do acknowledge that 21st century learning is 2021. This is the 22nd year of the 21st century. So like, if we're not doing 21st century education, we need to get on it. And it's still a thing we say in education. So it's about 1,000 words. You're just going to look at the rubric, looking at factors causing changes to education. You're likely going to be talking about this global pandemic that we are still in, and how that has pretty quickly changed things, and yet some things have stayed really the same. With this, though, because it is a research paper, it's not going to be as much just here's what I think, but you're going to really jump in, and this might be the first time you've done it in quite a while, really citing your sources. And again, we'll talk more about that in week 3. The next big assignment that you have going is an infographic. So with this, strongly recommend just hopping on one of the websites you're going to use to create an infographic, like Piktochart. Piktochart. What makes a good infographic, right? Give us some examples, and then you're going to just rank it as a group. That's your collaborative assignment. Pretty straightforward. And it's going to be looking at the necessary conditions for actually using or applying technology to a need in the classroom. You have a submit in week 5. You have a collaborative group project. These are little small ones that kind of happen along the way. Is to design a lesson plan addressing a common core standard. Again, that's pretty straightforward. At the end of week 6, you have the second half of your social media starter kit. This is where you're going to actually engage on Twitter, where you're going to have, what does the rubric say? At least 10 tweets sent, where you're actually bringing some value to other people, sharing original content. Could be sharing out an article, could be, replying to a chat. Lots of different ways to go. I'll explain more in week 6. If you've been on Twitter a lot, you'll notice that 10 is not a lot. If you've never been on it, it might feel a little bit overwhelming. So hopefully it's just right for most of you. Kind of out of nowhere, week 7 is an assignment called Protecting Human Research Participants. So if we jump way ahead to 605, that's your final course, the capstone course. If you backtrack, most courses will have one small component preparing you for 580 and then 605. This is one of those. So it's not really connected with educational leadership, being a connected educator, what we're doing in 501, but it is connected to what you're going to be doing in 605. So if we saved all of it till 605, that's just too much. And so we kind of reverse mapped, almost like UDL style. How do we get you to 605? This is one of those parts. Basically, anytime you're doing any sort of research, even action research, you need to complete this Protecting Human Research Participants assignment as part of it. So anyway, that's what that means. Your final assignment, the one I am most excited about, is called Active Q Member. So if you're in California, hopefully you know about Q. If you're anywhere in the world these days, I suppose, Q used to stand for Computer Using Educators. Now it's just an acronym like IBM. Used to be International Business Machines, and now we just say IBM. Because at some point in 1978, being a computer using educator was a self-selecting group, and at this point, every educator is a computer using educator. So now it's just Q. It's an affiliate of ISTE. You likely know the ISTE standards. Q is full of some of my favorite people on the planet, for sure. So if you are not a member, they still have a free membership. That's what you're going to be asked to do. Become a free member of Q. That gets you all kinds of goodies. You get discounts on conferences. You get some articles. You get discounts on stuff. And above everything else, what helps the most is that when you are a member, this actually helps our advocacy with the state and then also at the federal level by saying, we just I have a little bit of behind the scenes. So I'm going to give you a little behind the scenes. I'm the chair of Q's communication committee. And so I get some of the analytics. Before Q was free membership, when it was paid only, there was just around 10,000 members, which is still pretty significant. Within about a 2 or 3 year period, when it moved to free membership, in addition to the premium membership, it just about doubled. Now there's about 20,000 members. So being able to go to the Capitol up in Sacramento and say, on behalf of 20,000 educators, you get taken more seriously, and we're able to further our work in education, looking at infrastructure, making that more accessible and equitable for all of our teachers, for all of our students, all of our learners. Keeping the internet free and open for all of that work. You get invited to more meetings if you have 20,000 members compared to 10, and in those meetings, it's you're advocating for more people. So it's good stuff. It really promotes the advocacy work, and there's just more awesome people. So when you're going to become a member, you're going to take a look at one of the OnQ blog posts and share how it might impact your practices as an educator. And then this is my favorite part. You're going to create a proposal for an upcoming Q conference. So you're not going to submit it, but I actually just grabbed the template for submitting to a conference. So you're going to just work on one of those. Hopefully it'll be connected with a lot of the work we've been doing in this course. And my favorite part of that is that now that you have, by the end of this course, a presentation proposal submitted to me for the course, because you have to, you can submit it to Q and present at Spring Q or at Fall Q. Both of these conferences are free if you are the main presenter, which is a really big deal. For me, I couldn't afford to go to the conferences. My school wouldn't fund it earlier in my career. And so the only way I could afford to go was if I had free registration. It didn't cover food or hotel or travel, but it did cover registration, which is a decent chunk. Depending on which conference you're talking about, it's going to be between $100, $400 just for registration. And that's one thing I'm really proud that Q does. Not a lot of organizations will give complimentary registration. This does. So if you're trying to get to a Q conference, Spring Q or Fall Q, this is a great way to do it. There's a template there that you're going to use. As always, all your assignments have rubrics that go along with it. So always look at the rubric as you're going through the course. So taking just a step back, make sure you've read carefully through the syllabus, particularly around late assignments. Unless you have prior approval, everything has to be due on the due date. Nearly all the due dates are Sunday before midnight, with the exception of week 8. Week 8 ends on a Friday night, Friday at midnight. You have two main books. One is Sir Ken Robinson's Creative Schools. Fantastic read. There's also an audiobook if you prefer to listen to it, which is fantastic. That's how I think I read the book, through the audiobook. This isn't like a reference on page 42. It's just kind of by chapter, and it's more big themes. And then the other one is Creating a Google Apps Classroom, with a handful of authors that are amazing educators to follow. Kyle Brumbaugh, Elizabeth Calhoun, Ramsey Musallam, who might be one of your instructors later on. Who else is on? I think Robert Pronovost is one of the authors of that book. And they're really just, kind of 2-page little vignettes about, here's a tool in Google Apps, here's how you might use it in the classroom. So it's not going to be like reading a chapter at a time. It's just reading, kind of 2 or 4 pages as we go along. And then finally you have your APA manual, 7th edition. Spoiler alert, if you're not sure what to do and the APA manual is not really working for you, if you just Google APA heading graduate student, there's some great resources there for you. So yeah, that's what that is about. Those are the books. We talked about the syllabus. Week by week, is once you look at week 1, the other weeks are going to look really similar. Let me see. Looking at the rest of the sidebar, definitely take a look at the APA resources, the Writing Studio. Writing Studios are a fantastic resource, particularly for your research paper. If you get that to them typically 4 days ahead of time, you get some good feedback, and then lots and lots of good library and research resources as well. So make sure and click on all those sidebars, and that is all. So the next thing you're going to be doing, You're going to read through that syllabus and then click on week 1, and I will see you over there.